You're listening to the Ready or Not podcast with me, Mabel Goulden. We're here to share the stories of those living intentionally and building a life they love so that you can be inspired to do the same. In this episode, I am sat down with Marie Engie, who I actually approached on Instagram to be in this podcast, and I'm very glad she agreed. She creates content all about slow living here in Dubai, and that really caught my attention because I thought that was so different and unique for someone to share that kind of lifestyle here in Dubai. It's not something you come across often. So I thought that would be really interesting for you all listening to get an understanding of what that actually means. And she gives some lovely definitions of that in the podcast. So I hope you enjoy it. Hi everyone, and you're listening to the Ready or Not podcast with Mabel Goulden. And today I'm with Marie Engie, who I found on Instagram through her slow living content. And she was one of the first people on my list for this podcast to interview about her experience building a life that she loves here in the UAE. So thank you for coming on the podcast, Marie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and have this opportunity to be able to speak about my life and everything about how I pursued life in Dubai.
You're so welcome. We're really, really excited to hear about your experience. And one of the things that I really want to come across on this podcast is to hear from such a variety of people. And I think you have a really unique take on living the Dubai life, which we're going to get more into in this episode. So yeah, I'm going to kick it off with talking about what me and you have in common, which is that we've moved to Dubai.
Yes.
So, and I moved in 2018. You were, just remind me when you moved over?
2017, yes.
Okay.
So April 2017.
Okay. Also, side note, don't you think it goes so quickly, like the time?
So fast.
The first year is like nothing.
Yeah.
It literally goes
and
so
I
quickly.
still feel like still so fresh.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I've been living here for so long.
It's because it keeps changing. They keep opening new areas and building new places.
Everywhere.
And it's
just
crazy.
like growing so fast.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's still feeling like it's a new city.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel.
I love that about Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you made the decision to move to the UAE, and did you feel like it was like a snap decision, or was it something you were planning for ages, or how was that process for you?
So I used to live in Ireland for 10 years. I finished university there and I had my partner here, and but at that time I had opportunity to also move to Singapore. I've done interviews, I've passed through the interviews. I was so ready to move to Singapore when I had to make a decision to either go to Singapore or come to Dubai. And because of my partner, I decided to come to Dubai.
Okay.
And that was the main reason why I moved to here. Actually, the only reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like a snap decision, but it was like an invitation. Let's put this way. Like,
it was something you wanted to do actively. And And how was it actually? Once you made that decision, were you would you say, more anxious or more excited? Like, where did you stand on that scale? Because obviously moving continent, that's a big jump for anyone.
Yeah.
Whether it's your dream destination or not, there's got to be some level.
It's a big change.
Right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some level of anxieties there. Can you tell me a bit about where you were on that scale?
I was very excited by that time because I was ready to leave Dublin. I was really ready. I was
ready for a change.
I was so looking forward to summer all year, to go to the beach as often as I could. Mm-hmm. I was very excited. Of course, some parts of me was a little bit scared because it's normal to be scared when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, living in another country for 10 years. And then moving to another country, it is a little bit scary, but I was also, it wasn't like a scary thing that made me stop me. It actually made me want to try it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I know everything is going to fall into place.
That's a really good mindset to have going into it. And I think, it's so important to kind of go in with that mindset that I can handle it. Because it's super, people I think are very conscious of how different the lifestyles are, when moving somewhere. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, I was like, a little bit of both, but I think more excited. I was really, really looking forward to a new beginning as well. Also, it's so refreshing to start something new in life.
That's great that I think when you moved, you were so excited, because I definitely can relate to that. I had that as well. That, in fact, I think I was pretty much blinded by excitement. It wasn't until afterwards I kind of realized what a big change it was. It was kind of like I was just riding that excitement until I made the move, and then it wasn't until I looked back and I thought, whoa, hang on.
It was a big change.
Yeah, wasn't I nervous? But in the moment, no, I was just so excited.
Because you're not moving houses, you're moving country.
Yeah, right.
That is a big change.
It is, yeah. And I think, so obviously everybody that's moving country has some ideas about what it's going to be like. Maybe you know someone that's moved. Maybe you've just seen, maybe you follow some, your favorite influencers that live there, or maybe you're, just hearing about it from other people's experience, but you can't know for sure until you get there. And I think with Dubai especially, there's such a big disconnect between what people think the lifestyle is like here and versus what it actually is like here. Which brings us perfectly onto this topic of slow living. Now, I'm not going to actually pretend that I'm an expert in slow living. I'd love to hand this over to you. If you can give us like a definition, because I'm sure there's probably people listening that maybe don't even know the term, or maybe like me, you've just been scrolling on TikTok and you find some content and you think that's an interesting, concept. Like what does that actually mean?
Well, I'm also not an expert because I'm learning.
In this room, you're the expert.
Yes. But I can say for myself, slow living is actually slowing down your life. Mm-hmm. It's you do things with being more conscious, being more present at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think one of the most important things about slow living, it's like being present in the moment, being content with what you have, like practices, like everyday practices that will help you slow your life, as a journaling, as spend time in the nature, making like little changes in your life and adjusting. For example, like going to the supermarket and appreciate the fact that you are in the supermarket choosing your fruits, instead of like just ordering from, I don't know, any app that you can order. But actually,
I love that as an example, actually, especially for here. Dubai, because you're so right. Like every little, people think of tasks as mundane. It's all like optimized to be super easy and quick and fast. And I think it's also interesting that you mentioned nature in the definition of slow living, because I think it depends. Obviously, everybody's got their own preferences on where their ideal climate is. But it's a bit of a concrete jungle here. It can be a bit kind of busy city life that it can be hard to find. I know when I go home to the UK, I'm always like, wow, grass,
so much green,
wow, fresh air, wow, grass. But so I think that's interesting, and probably why, I don't know if you agree, but probably why people don't necessarily associate Dubai with slow living. They just see it as this like super fast paced, like super, like out of touch, kind of out of touch with nature especially, but also just with those like day-to-day tasks. It's all super speedy.
I think if you have a like close look to what like the nature part of Dubai, you're gonna find a lot of things that is actually outside of like the concrete jungle. Because I live in Jumeirah. I moved to Jumeirah in last November, and I don't have a car.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a car. I don't drive. I'm still in the process to get a drive license.
I actually don't drive either, but
I bike everywhere.
Really? Oh, I love that. Okay,
as if I was living in Netherlands, but I'm not. I'm in Jumeirah.
Okay, I love that.
And I bike everywhere, and I spend a lot of time in Jumeirah streets finding exciting things. Like I take plants from my house from the Jumeirah streets instead of like sometimes buying. Dubai has like this part that is very busy, very full of information, but that is a very quiet side of Dubai as well, and it's pretty amazing to to have like both. You just have to like look closely and be open for it. Like there is so many things that you can adapt into your life, that you can have this kind of slow life in Dubai, as waking up earlier, going to the beach before everyone. It's so silent, like it's so calming. It's completely different. And you see one or two people like passing by or walking or running, and you hear the trees. I know it sounds like but
it sounds airy fairy, but it's exactly what you said. It's if you're open to it, then you'll see it and you'll notice it.
Definitely.
But I think what's really interesting is how did you personally almost become open to it? Like, when did that start in your life? Was it something when you moved you were instantly looking for that, or was it more of a kind of gradual thing? When did it start, and where did it come from? Because I think from my experience, it's not that obvious. It's not that it's kind of difficult to find that here.
It takes time.
It does,
takes time. It always started in 2017. I was living here already. I just moved here, and I went to a trip to Nepal to spend around 13 days in the Himalayas.
Wow.
And when I was in the Himalayas, I learned a lot with the silence of the mountains, because it's very silent there. It's, the people there are very remote. They are very far from the city.
Yeah.
And you see the way they live, how slow they live. Because they need Sherpas to go to the mountains. The further you go inside of the Himalayas, you realize that the more they need Sherpas to come and bring food, supplies to. It's like completely different life. And that's when I went back here, I realized that I was living so fast. Everything, I was like the city. The city is growing so fast, and we are going the same path with the city. And then I had 2 weeks thinking about it, and I was like, I really want to start to making change from what I saw and what I learned from those 13 days in the Himalayas, because it was so peaceful. It was like people there, they live so different of what we live. Of course, we live in a city. It's impossible to have that kind of life.
Yeah.
But we can learn and adapt what they do little bit to our life.
Kind of taking the inspirations from it and applying it to our situation. And I love that. And I think one of the key messages that I want to promote in the Ready or Not podcast is that sometimes it takes seeing and learning about other people's experiences to be inspired. And, sometimes you don't really know what's possible until you go out and hear about it and hear other people's experiences. So that's kind of how you've taken that inspiration and applied it to Dubai, which is such a kind of, on paper, it's such a kind of polar opposite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
you can literally, I think you can watch and see what people do, and you can create your own, and you can adapt to things that you love. Like, not always what I do is going to work for you. Not always the kind of life that I have is going to work for you, but you can actually take whatever you think it's good for you and you adapt into your life. And as much as you're happy and, it's what you want, like, from your heart, I think that's what is important.
And that's when you're in that kind of, I don't know what you'd call that state, but such a much more comfortable kind of flow living state, happy and satisfied with finding your community. But let's quickly talk about what it's like when you've moved here and you haven't found that, and it's, I don't know if there was maybe a period for you, because there certainly was for me, when you've moved and you've made the decision, and like I said, I was riding that excitement and that that wave, and then it kind of hits you that this is real, and it's not just the game of life or whatever, like, it's real, and then it is difficult to find your people and to find the lifestyle you want to live. Was there ever a point where you felt like you were almost living the Dubai life that didn't serve you and it wasn't where you wanted to be?
Definitely, yes. Yeah. For me, it was a little bit hard in the beginning, because I felt like I had to do things that I wasn't I wasn't being myself to be able to fit, because I couldn't, the places that I used it to go, or clothes that I needed to wear to go to these places, wasn't me. I like what I'm wearing right now. That's what I like. I like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't like much makeup. I like loose clothes. And
I was going to say, I'm sure anyone listening, because I know there's going to be a lot listening that are on the brink of making their move, and, you know, they're planning maybe moving to Dubai or to maybe somewhere else. And I'm sure they're probably wondering what kind of, you know, what kind of things that people expect of them when they move. And I think, you know, oftentimes it is, let's go for drinks, and let's do that every single night, especially in Dubai. Like, let's go for ladies' night where there's unlimited everything for free, and it does feel like that's kind of the way that things are done. Like, this is how to make friends in this city, when it can feel like that is the only way almost.
But not really. Like, well, for me, it wasn't like the friends that I made. It was actually through like cafes and hanging out with more like people that do art, do paintings, and because I'm very connected to that.
See, that's I think what people sometimes as well, I mean, this is not Dubai specific, but more just kind of life specific, is that it's kind of like you need to find those elements to your life that you love to do to bond with people over, right? Because sometimes, and I can think of so many people that I've spoken to about their move, is like they haven't really found their thing, so they don't really bother with it. And then it's like, well, you know, you need to go somewhere where you've got similar, people with similar interests.
Definitely. Like, and you need to make like genuine connection to people, right? You need to feel like you want to be part of like that group of, you actually want to be part, you know, not only just like go out for like drinks or a night out. You actually want to connect to them, like invite them to your house when you want to.
Yes, exactly. And I think another thing as well as that is like those hobbies that you mentioned, you can actually talk to people while you're doing them, right? And that's something that's so important, is you're not really going to make genuine friendships. And, you know, when we think of our like best friends, that's something, you know, you want to be able to talk to them and actually be able to to communicate with them properly, so that you can build that relationship. Right?
It's I think that is like a lot of environments here, and that is, I believe, through what I've been living lately, that is a lot of tribes in Dubai. We don't see it so much.
I love that you called them tribes. That's
I don't know if I'm I don't know if I call them tribes, but that's how I call it. And so I live nearby kite surf beach, and I see like a lot of people that goes to the kite surf, and that's kind of like surfers tribe. And then I have like my friends that is kind of like arts and kind of like have like the same lifestyle that I do, and that is the people that loves like going out, beach clubs, and so there's different tribes, and you can find like that is so many others, and you can find the moms as well. That is like a huge community of moms, and you can find yours and find what makes you like feel more comfortable with the friends that you make.
I love that. I love that. You just need to find your tribe. And it sounds, there's that cheesy phrase that's probably in somebody's like little photo frame on their bedroom wall or something, but it's like your vibe attracts your tribe.
Definitely.
I'm not going to pretend I made that up. I'm sure everybody's heard that. So I can't claim that to be mine. But so what does that actually mean? Well, it means you've got to kind of start to be who you want to be first, because then you'll, you know, if you're being someone that you don't really want to be and you're not really vibing with, then that's going to put you in the wrong tribe.
You really need to be. I think it's that's the thing that happened to me. I wasn't being myself.
Really?
When I was being myself, but I was getting out of my way to try. I was trying so hard. So I think the perfect word, I was trying too hard to fit. And
which is so easily done when you've just moved and you're like,
it's
you
normal.
Want it to be perfect, and
it's normal. I think it happens to a lot of people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. That's when I realized that I didn't want to try to fit anymore. I want to find people like me. And I just opened myself. I started to do the things that I love. I think it's so important to, you always need to do things that you love, like things that you feel comfortable with, and things is gonna unfold like naturally. Like it's so you attract your vibes. So people, it's like people recognize you. They recognize that you are open, and once they recognize that they are open, they start to approach you. And
I think another thing actually that I just thought of is, because I'm thinking you don't need to have just one tribe. I'm wondering if anybody listening is thinking like, I don't know, like that's fine as well, right? You can definitely vibe with different tribes, and I love that because I think that's also very Dubai, is having like different ways to live your best Dubai life and live your do what you love.
I mean, I love, you know, biking around Jumeirah, slow living, but I love a glass of wine and going to a bar. Lose everything, dance like crazy. I love that too. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And I think the most important thing, be open for new experiences. I think it's so important once you live here, when you move here, be open for everything.
Yeah. One of the biggest tips I could give to anyone, but we're going to get on to more tips anyway. So, when we're building this dream life and when we're trying to be the vibe that we want to attract, you know, when we're talking about, you know, putting ourselves in the situations with the people we want to bring into our life, how do you set boundaries to build a life that feels authentic to you? And I want us to focus here on how we can, you know, give some advice on kind of finding those boundaries and what they would be.
There was people that I'm still in touch with them, of course, but we just didn't have the same interests. So it was hard to establish connection because I'm a day person. That people were like night people, and it was just you know. But I created that for myself. There was no problem with them. That was me, because that's the kind of lifestyle that I like. And that's when I realized that I needed to do changes to be who I want to be here, and to have the life that I want to have here. So definitely like adapting myself to new people, finding the people that I connect more. It was one of the like, I would say, like one of the boundaries that I have created.
So on the Ready or Not podcast, one of the other key messages that I really want to get across to everybody listening and watching is that once you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and you're making those big steps, whether it is moving country or even making the decision to start a TikTok and put out some content or whatever it is that you're going to do, and it's out of your comfort zone a little bit, getting through that and seeing how it pays off. How has stepping outside of your comfort zone paid off for you? Like what benefits have you got from kind of pushing yourself through that?
I think once you step out of your comfort zone, you make so much place for growth. And I think it's one of the best things, like when you acknowledge that you're actually growing, because that's what happens when you do everything different. You do different things that you're not used to, and that's when you start to see like you're bettering yourself. You're not the person that you used to be. And I think for me, I would say like I live in peace.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I think that's how it's paying off. I would say like I don't have everything, but I'm very content with what I have. I don't need to have everything to be content with, but I am very happy where I am, what I'm doing at the moment. I'm also really happy, and for a very long time I wanted to feel like I'm calm. My life is calm, and that's how I feel right now. So I know it's paying off. But it took it's a long process. It's not always easy to step out of your comfort zone. You see a lot of things that you don't want to see about yourself, because that's the process when you're growing. You see a lot of things that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful process.
Yeah.
It's I think everyone needs to go through that.
Yeah.
And it pays off. It definitely does. Yeah. Because people have like different outcome. Mine, I feel peace, but other people will feel like happy and or like they are more successful. And I think mine's like I just feel calm.
That's really nice, and I think that's such a I love that you've kind of achieved that goal, you know, and how I can see how like important that is for you, even for your content as well. And just as a side note, make sure everybody goes to follow. I'll put the link in the podcast description. So I think I would love for us to touch on a few tips and kind of advice for people that are listening who would be inspired by your story. And I love that I've been able to talk to you today to show this other lifestyle in Dubai that really I hope to see a lot more of from people, you know, and finding their true authentic selves here in this amazing city that is full of inspiration and all these different tribes. So let's talk about some tips maybe that you've got for people that are maybe on that edge. Maybe they're thinking, maybe this is you listening, maybe you're thinking of making the move, but you're worried about not finding your tribe or that feeling of being in that out of that comfort zone. What's your biggest tip, would you say?
I would say feel scared, but do it anyways.
Yes.
That's how I felt. I think that's what most of the people feel, but don't let it stop you. Just come here, do your thing, and there will be so many times that you're gonna feel like you're not doing the right thing for yourself or for your life, but you're gonna find yourself. And Dubai is a place full of opportunities, and it's a place that you can find you find every nationality here, you find every kind of people here, and it's just amazing that you can have this life here. And I think the most I would say feel the fear, but do it anyways, and step out of your comfort zone and try it. And always remember, if you want to succeed with your decisions, but if not, you always have other options. But the most important is like try it, because to be honest, I never heard about anybody that came here. It's like, oh no, I'm moving away.
I mean, I'm sure it happens, I love that you brought that up, because I actually always say that to people. I'm like, just try it. Yeah. And, you know, what's the worst that can happen? And that is exactly what you said. You know, you're feeling that fear, you're doing it anyway. You know, if you decide it's not for you, that's fine. Like, that's okay. But, you know, you've put yourself there, and you're kind of at that next stage.
Yeah, is like so many other places to go. That is, but after living here since 2017, now I can say that for a very long time I didn't see it, but I see it, and I don't imagine myself living somewhere else for like at least 5 years.
Really?
That's how much I learned loving here. Yeah.
Wow. That's really nice.
It took time, but I love it here.
Yeah. I mean, I love it here as well. I have such a I think I've just recently been traveling, and when I come back, I had that feeling of like, it's just so much appreciation for it. I'm just like, yay. So that's why I love to sit here and talk to people about our experiences living here. So you definitely, like, when you come here, just be open. I think is also very important to say. Yeah. It's having that mindset that's being open to find that lifestyle that you want, isn't it? Yeah. It's really like when you open, I really believe when you open, people sense it. And you send the energy, and the energy comes back to you. And people, actually, that happened to me many times, that people approach me. Really? Yeah. Like, and I do that. Like some people, there was a time that I used it to think, is this people gonna think that I'm crazy or something? Because I was like, hey, how are you? Like at the beach, if I see some girl, like I love, like at the gym, when I see a girl practicing yoga, I smile and I try to make friends. And I think it's so important to be open, because people really feel it. They feel that you're open, and they feel more comfortable to come and talk to you. And I think this is like a big thing that's going to set you up for success. If anybody listening, that's a really good tip. That's really going to set you up for attracting the people that you want into your Dubai life. Well, Marie, it's been so nice to hear about your experience living in Dubai, and I really appreciate you sitting down and sharing your experience with everyone listening. Like I said, I'm going to put the link to Marie's Instagram in the description so that you can go and check out some of her slow living content. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure, and it was so good to talk a little bit about my life and about Dubai as well, and I'm so glad that I was invited, and yes, thank you so much.